So let's talk about financial maths.
Hey.
I can see our Okay, so usually I'd find that when I run my workshops, most people would come, that would definitely be one of the requests,
sure,
right, that they make. Where do you think the problem with financial maths lies?
What's your name? Green! I got 100 on my dash, got 200 in my trunk. Name in the grab bags for my trunk. Like a cracker on the top of my binocular. He's got nothing to lose.
So, as you guys may start to gauge me now, I'm a basics person. Let's start there. Let's start with standard information.
Sure.
Give out standard information so that everything else that you have to find is supported by your standard information. So in financial mathematics, know first and foremost when to use the formula for a simple interest, what formula to use, when and how to use the formula for compound interest. So those things are standard stuff, and standard information is communicated clearly in most textbooks. So standard information, we use compound interest when this is happening. We use simple interest when this is happening. We use simple interest depreciation, which they sometimes call straight line depreciation. So that you would use a simple interest depreciation formula, or for reducing balance, book value, then you will use compound depreciation formula.
Now that you are raising the issue, it's unfortunate that we live in a country that has 11 official languages.
Yeah.
But assessment is usually conducted in
one.
English, in
Sure.
one, right? Well,
two Afrikaans.
English or Afrikaans. But fortunately for those that are doing Afrikaans, they would be assessed in the language that they usually
use at
home,
yes.
They use everywhere, right?
Sure.
But when it comes to the majority of us, you would find that English becomes a barrier, and that's where I would say, if I were to give advice to the examiners, I know that they are trying at level best, to make the standard, of international level. But we also need to be mindful of the context that we have in the country, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a conversation for me and the people that are in authority. But so with that said, I'm trying to also say that sometimes language for me, I don't know if you've noticed a pattern. Anytime in mathematics there's something that requires words being translated into some mathematical thing, it's an issue.
Disaster.
Okay?
Sure.
Yeah. So I would say for me, guys, going back to his point, find those basic things. As much as, yes, it's not your language, né? But find the common things that are always said. For instance, when they talk about reducing balance. For instance, when they talk about compound interest, right? For instance, when we're talking about the balance of a loan, right?
Yes.
So okay, so if I'm going to be paying off a loan in installments, right? Monthly installments, then what am I looking at? I'm looking at a present value formula, right? In that case. If I'm going to be putting money as a lump sum, into an account, then I know, I'm looking at the compound, depending on, the type of account that there is, right? You're looking at compound interest if they're telling us that it's compound interest. And for how long are they putting it in that account, right?
Sure.
One of the things, and I remember I was having a conversation with my student who's sitting there, and we're talking about this period thing.
Yes.
Right? This period thing.
Yes.
So she was asking me, okay, but when do I change? When do I know when to change the period from years to months?
Sure.
Right? Okay?
You want to I wanted to raise that. So compounding period is one of the most important things that you can know for yourself in financial mathematics, because if you get that wrong, essentially your whole substitution and your whole calculation becomes wrong.
Yeah.
So just to go through the few compounding periods that would usually come. So if you are compounding monthly, then we know that in a year there are 12 months.
Yeah.
So we will divide our interest rate with 12 and multiply our number of years.
Just to pause you on that one.
Sure.
Yeah. That's because interest rate is usually given per annum.
Yes.
Right? So remember that. So you're given an annual interest rate. So which means if I'm compounding not on an annual basis but on a monthly basis, I need to be able to convert that into monthly compounding periods.
So that is that. And then the period that we are given for the loan, if it's not in the compounding period that we are asked to investigate, then we multiply by 12 if we are compounding monthly, or we multiply by 2 if we are dealing with semi-annually or half-yearly.
Yes.
And we'll divide the interest rate by 2. And sometimes I've seen a question where they say compounded daily.
Yeah.
We have 365 on average, 365 days per
so
day. That becomes a tedious question. It becomes
is it a leap year or is it not a leap year?
Yes. So on average, they will take 365 as the number of days in a year.
Yeah.
So divide by 365 your interest and multiply your period there to make it a daily period.
Yeah.
And you have quarterly as well. So we have 4 quarters in a year. So that is dividing interest rate by 4 and multiplying the period by 4.
Beautiful.
So
I think
that is that.
I think honestly speaking, when it comes to that, now the one thing that I find to be a challenge, and I'm going to open it up to you for questions. One thing that I find that is sometimes an issue is drawing your timelines. First of all, when do I draw a timeline? Should I always draw a timeline?
Okay. Timelines are not always necessary, but they are necessary if they are deposits and withdrawals within the period of your investment.
Sure.
So that would be the best way, because if you would want to go with that without a timeline, hey, you may miss some information. So draw a timeline when there is withdrawal and deposit in the question.
Yeah.
If you are told that Mbuso is going to is depositing initially, is putting 5,000 rands in a 5% per annum compounded monthly, so, and is putting that for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you are told then that after 18 months, Mbuso decides to add another 2,000 at the same rate for until the period ends. And then you are told, no, man, Mbuso thought, no, Yazin, let me withdraw 1,000. I need 1,000 and withdraws 1,000. 6 months, yes. 6 months after the 2,000 withdrawal, he now withdraws 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So then you would ask, how much would he have at the end of 5 years? Yes. Yeah. So then a timeline there would be useful.
Yeah. I also find timelines particularly useful. I suppose, as you rightfully said, when there are different events that are taking place within the within the lifespan of whatever account that you have opened, right? One thing that I would always advise, for me, especially when you are dealing with paying off a loan, right? One of the questions that might come up might be calculate the balance of a loan at a particular place, or let's say a deferred annuity.
Oh, yes.
Right? So sometimes they'll say to you, okay, this person takes a loan and he fails to pay within a particular period, and now he needs to make sure that he still pays within the time span of the initial contract, or whatever the case is. So I think timelines would be helpful there. Now, please, guys, I want you to remember this. Whenever you are dealing with a present value annuity, remember, present value annuity, this is when I've taken a loan, but I'm going to pay it off in installments, right, over a period, a certain period of time, right? For instance, it could be a car loan,
Sure.
it could be a bond that I've taken for a house or whatever the case is, right? Now, please remember that always there has to be a 1 month gap between when I take the loan and the first payment
Yes.
that is taken, right? So even if, let's say, and I'm going to make an example. Let's say I need to pay off a home loan over a period of 5 years. But I fail to pay in the first 6 months. Or rather, let me put it this way. I am going to only pay my first installment in the 6th month.
Oh, 6 months. Okay.
In the 6th month. Right. Now, what am I going to do? My timeline is going to start at T0. And I'm going to say, for the first 5 months,
Yes.
note, I'm going to only start paying in the 6th month. So for 5 months, I am going to be accruing interest, right? So accumulating interest on that loan. Why? So that I can have, on the 5th month, there will be a 1 month gap between the time when I am actually, when the account on the loan and when I start making my first payment. So that's the thing that I always, advise students.
Sure.
So remember that 1 month gap that always has to be there for a deferred annuity. That is very important for the present value annuity. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay.
So also we use timelines when there is changes in interest rates.
There we go. I wanted to add that, but
changes in interest rates.
Changes in interest
when
rate.
the interest rate is changing over the same period of time of your investment or of your loan, use a timeline.
Yeah. Okay. That's very good.
Sure.
Yeah. So lapo noma ngamanga business. We are just changing interest rates.
rate.
So we accumulate interest within the first interest period.
Yes.
With its compounding period, and then you accumulate interest. Whatever you've accumulated here earns more interest in the new period.
Sure.
Right? Nice one. Nice one.
Sure.
Chovicho. All right. I don't know. Are there any questions?
I don't know if it is a question, but I've seen an example that for future value, there would be a question that says, "Will deposit something." How would we know that we're not looking for the accumulated amount rather than we're looking for how many payments have been made in total, or how much is the total interest, or how much are the deposits that we've made altogether? Like, when do we know what are we looking for?
I don't know if I'll be answering your question, Gashane, but please let me know if I'm not. Okay. So there's a difference when I say calculate the total amount that someone is paid. Do you hear that question? Right? Or calculate the total amount that has been deposited into an account versus how much will or how much will be in the account after a certain period of time. So the amount that I deposit is the money that literally came off from my pocket and I've paid. So if I'm making an example, if I'm paying 50 rands a month,
Yeah.
and I've paid it over 24 months,
Sure.
right? What happens? How much have I paid?
Sure.
I will say 50 rand multiplied by 24.
Sure.
But that may not be the money that is in the account, right? In this case, the account accrues interest on its own.
Yes.
So if they ask me for the amount that is in the account, that's a different story altogether. Sure. I don't know if I've answered your question well.
And I wanted to add, when she in a question she has, how would we know how much interest we've paid? So the example that he just gave is perfect for that. So let's say you are borrowing money, and you are paying back 50 rand a month for 24 months for that money. And so when you pay, so we do 50 times 24. So say this is the money that you have paid, because let's say that 50 rand includes the interest that you've been charged. And the loan that you borrowed was 3,000. And then now we would want to know what is the interest that I have paid. And so you will take the total amount that you borrowed and subtract it from the money that you have paid. And that should result in the interest that you've been charged.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Sure.
I love it. Beautiful. Any other question?
Like I would want you to comment on the, like when you deposit a certain amount, and then maybe like do monthly deposits, or maybe do like a deposit only for it to accumulate.
Yeah.
And then you let's do monthly deposits.
Monthly deposits. Okay.
You do monthly deposits of this fixed amount every month, maybe for like 24 months, and then on the 12th month, you say like, let me increase the money that I deposit.
Okay.
Do we treat the first money that you usually use to deposit as a transaction, like another transaction, and then we treat the other deposit like the one that you're like, I'm going to increase the amount. Do we treat it
as a different?
Yes.
Okay. So, I want you to think about it, right? So you are paying something off. So I want to know within that period that I've been paying off that amount, I want to know what's the balance before I start. You can't just be paying money, J, right? You are paying because there's a particular balance on the account, right? So the question is, do I treat when I've been paying an amount and I decide, no man, I've been paying 50 rand a month. Now, I want to take it to 70 rands a month, right? So what do? So the first thing is, let me find out what was the balance on that account before I make changes in the payment. Do you agree? Do you understand? Eh? So I make that balance. And then now remember, that balance that is there is now your present value for the period for which now you want to increase the installment for. I hope that makes sense, right? So in that case, once you get your balance, present value formula, and remember that it is now going to affect the repayment period. So let's say you are going to be able to pay, you are supposed to finish paying off the loan in 10 years, right? But by virtue of you increasing the installments, that means that you might actually finish paying off earlier, right? So remember to also look at the period in that case, depending on what the question would be. Okay, most likely they would ask you the question, Wuti, what would be how long will it take? Yes, to finish off that loan. Yeah, so that is likely to be the question that you're going to get. Okay. Was there a follow-up question?
Yes.
What you wanted? Okay, can she finish hers and then we.
So if like we speak in the future value term and then the compounded, yes. So in your own comments as a teacher, can you please differentiate when like I deposit the money and then let it stay in the account? Obviously it accumulates, and then I just deposit another amount different from the amounts I initially deposited, and also differentiated from when I'm doing monthly deposits for an interest in future. And then I just increase the amount that I usually deposit. Just make the difference, because I think we sometimes
Okay,
I think I actually understand.
All right, take that one.
So with what Mlungisi has said, that was answering the part of, future value. When you are depositing stuff every month and then you now decide, okay, now I want to increase the deposit. So you know what you have now, or at least you know what you are working towards now in terms of future value. You know what you are working towards. So you're like, okay, now I want to increase this UIF of mine, because UIF will fall under future value. So you need to know what is it that you are depositing for, so that you can determine whether to use a compound interest formula or a future value, because we have standard information. If you are saving towards a retirement fund, sinking fund, those type of things help us to know which formula to use.
Yeah.
Because for a future value, you know that you will have monthly payments, and also you are depositing those monthly payments for a future plan, a future purpose. And then in case of depositing, so let's say you initially deposit 10,000, and
It's a lump sum.
a lump sum.
Yeah.
So if you are depositing a lump sum and later in your period of 5 years decide to change, so that would be a compound interest. That is not future value, because you are only making two deposits.
Yeah.
So what you would do then, you would say, what do I have before I put in this new money?
Yeah.
What do I have? Okay, I have this amount. And then now that I add this new money, so this new money will help the old money to accumulate the interest that was initially charged. So that will be compound interest versus the future value or the present value.
That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
Yes.
Hey, follow up.
So does that mean the last one that you just explained,
Yes.
you're treating it as two different transactions?
If they are going into the same amount, yes, I may not be making them at the same time. But if they are going into the same amount and nothing is changing in terms of interest rate and the period, that is two different deposits made into one account.
So when I calculate it's a period for 24 months.
Sure.
And then I do this lump sum deposit for 12 months, and then I do another lump sum deposit. I need to calculate the money that I've accumulated for the first
12 months.
years. And then does that money also get an interest for the last 12 months?
Yes. Yeah. So compound interest works on the money that is in the account.
Yes.
So if you put 5,000 at 5% per annum, compounded monthly, at the end of the first month, the money that is there at the end of the first month is the one now that will be interested at 5% per annum compounded monthly. And then after the second month, the money that will be there. So compound interest is not like simple interest. So simple interest puts the interest into the initial deposit, and it's in game. This is where we are applying interest, and we are applying interest on the 10,000 that you've put in. But for compound interest, for every compounding period, the balance that you have is the one that will accrue interest.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that question.
Beautiful. I think that
was important. That was important.
Okay. Just maybe to also add to what you were saying.
Yes.
And I'm making an example. All right. Let's say you were depositing 2,000 at the beginning, right? Not per month. You're depositing a lump sum. Let's say you're going to have this investment over 10 years, right? So meaning that the 2,000 that is there, let me finish the point first. You're going to deposit 2,000, right? And that 2,000 stays over the account. But maybe at year 7, you realize, no man, I'm not going to have enough money at the end, right? So I'm going to add another 3,000, right? Now what you need to remember is that the 2,000 rands will have a full term of 10 years to accumulate interest.
Yes. Oh,
You
yes.
see? But the 3,000 that you deposited later, how many years does it have? it is only 3 years up until the full term of the account. I think that's, so you get it, ne?
So to put that in a formula, that would be 2,000, and then you put that in a compound interest formula, and then 1 plus your I divided by compounding period, and then to the power of compounding period multiplied by n, and then plus. And so there you go, full term, and then plus. And then now you say the 3,000, but for the last 3 years. And so you put that 3,000 into a compound interest formula on its own, and the full sum of that should give you the accumulated amount over the period of 10 years.
Okay, beautiful stuff.
Siyabonga.
Beautiful stuff. There was a question. We're taking that question, and I think
It's all valid.
So
I wanted to ask about the two different balance outstanding formulas and how to use them, and also how do we work out the last payment on a loan. That last payment, I always get confused. So sometimes there will be a gap in my timeline, and I don't know if it still accumulates interest until that last payment, or if I made an extra payment on the last day.
Sure. Okay, let me start with the first one. I'm not sure I quite understood the second one, but I'll try to answer as
I
best
think
as.
I did.
Oh, you
the
did.
second one, so I'll take
Okay.
it. Sure.
All right. So on the first one, let's talk about the two methods of using the balance on a loan. Eh? So the first method is using the present value formula, right? So you are taking, and I want you to really think about it. Okay. So when you want the present value, or when you are using the present value formula for the balance of a loan, you are saying, I'm still going to repay for the period that is outstanding.
Sure.
You see? So, let's say we took we took a loan, a bond for a house for 20 years. But at year number 8, I decide I want to find out what is the balance. The balance there will be the present value for whatever term is still outstanding. You get it, ne? Right. So that's when you use the outstanding period. But you need to be careful with that. Okay? Because you can only use that for as long as the payer adheres to the terms that have been given by the bank or by the institution. Okay? Makes sense. Right. Now the second format is you are taking the loan as though it compounds interest right up until the end. Right? It will compound interest right up until the end. But then you subtract. In fact, no, let me not say right up until the end. Right up until the point where you are looking for the balance. So you are looking from the beginning to where I am looking, where I'm finding the balance, right? So this is the time that has lapsed,
Yes.
right? During the process of you repaying off this loan. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we're going to take that as accumulated interest just on the loan amount, initial loan amount, and then you are going to subtract. Now remember, what has happened? This amount has accumulated interest over this time, and it's monthly deposits, right? So you are saying minus the future value,
Yes.
right, of the amount that you've been paying up until the period where you are finding the balance, right? Now the important thing about that formula is that works even if there are changes that take place. Okay. So I always say that approach is more foolproof than the previous one that I spoke about, right? So that would kind of give you the balance on a loan. Okay, I hope I've answered your question.
So for the extra payment, so that usually comes after they've asked you how long will it take for you to repay the loan. And then you get your answer is 220.51
Yeah.
months. So we don't have 220.51 months.
Okay.
And so that extra 0.51 is the next smaller compounding period after months. What is the next compounding period after months? Weeks. So you would ask yourself, then, how many weeks have I paid this? How many weeks is 0.5 month? How many weeks are in 0.51 months? And once you've done that conversion, you realize, actually this is a fortnight, for instance. This is actually 10 days. So if this is 10 days, then you calculate the money that you have paid extra. So that would be the full month, the full money that you've been paying every month. And in the next month, you will like, okay, I need to pay for this 10 days. So if a month I pay 3,000, how much do I pay in one day? And then you take that for 10 days, and you get your answer.
Okay. All right.
So,
now I understand the question. Usually that last outstanding amount, which is not a full payment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's a portion of what you're paying.
We usually pay.
Beautiful stuff.
Yes.
All right.
That's a good question.
That's a remarkable question. Okay. So let's round this up. So in essence,
yes,
we are looking at financial maths. Usually, how many marks are we looking at?
18, 25. If they stretch it to 25, 16, so 16 to 20.
So
16 to 20.
So for me, I don't think it's really a section that I'd want to belabor too much or stress about, but also remember those basics.
Yes.
So that's very important. I think you've got a last question.
Not really a question, but in things with the financial topic, financial math topic, is that it's something that happens daily in people's life. And also, as youngsters, there are people out there who want to start their businesses. So, as you, as a teacher with the experience with financial mathematics, what advice can you give to the person who wants to take a loan or who wants to save up so that they can start their own businesses?
Take it seriously. The issue of finances, and I love the fact, Yoguti, you're asking me that question. I am following quite a number of people that speak on finances. One of them is Myron Golden.
Sure.
Another one is Nicolette Mashile.
Yes.
She's good. Another one is Mamwendi Silebi. She's got a book as well. In fact, all of them have got books.
Yes.
But I'll promote Tega Mamwendi because okay, but also Nicolette as well.
Yes.
I think take it seriously. Maths is not just maths. They want to give me the book. Let me show them the book. Let me show them the book.
Yes.
Start. She shares nuggets. I wish someone had told me. I think that's an incredible title. You're on page 50. Nice. Yeah, take this stuff seriously, right? Because then they're going to help us in ensuring that you really build a structured financial life.
Sure.
Guys, the sooner you start, the better, because your finances are a challenging habit to develop, a discipline to develop. But that's a very good question. Take it seriously.
So another thing that I wanted to add is that there is good debt and bad debt. If you want to buy a turkey and the turkey is 3,500 and you don't have the money, save up for the turkey. Because if you take that turkey in debt, that is bad debt. Because that turkey is no way going to provide a profit for you in the long-term future or the short-term future. So, but if you are looking, so now there are these things of using a car for Uber. So that now, to buy a car, to get a loan to buy a car, can now be considered a good debt because you are looking for this car to provide a certain income to you.
Yeah.
So just make sure that the debt that you take is a necessary debt, and give it your all if it's a business, because there's no going back once you start that. There is no going back.
Sure.
To add on to her question.
Yeah.
We don't know if university students are watching this, but what if they want to buy a home?
What if they want to buy, university students, if they want to buy a home?
Yeah, what about
Please go do your research. Don't take the first option that is given to you, right? Don't take the first option. Negotiate. Hey guys, hey, I'm a tough negotiator. Hey, even if they were to come to me and make it seem like this is the last option I have, I will negotiate. My wife always, doesn't like this about me. I will negotiate to the last, I will get there and say no, but give me more.
Yes, yes.
So negotiate your rates. Certainly financial institutions are also trying to make money. They are a business.
Sure.
So they understand economics,
Yes.
right? So for me, make sure that you negotiate. You evaluate your worth. They'll scare you with things like, your score, your credit score, and all of that. Hey, lalela, they want your money. Okay,
Yes.
so they better treat you as a customer, so you can negotiate your rate. So that's the advice that I give.
So because I'm not too far away from that university space, it's not been long since I've been out of varsity. So I want to give out my thought process. So my thought process is, why do I want to own a house? First and foremost, why do I want to own a house? What type of house do I want to own? And so is maintaining and taking a bond on that house cheaper and necessary than renting? Because I can go there, live there by renting in a penthouse, and I could pay very, very, very nice money there, but it could be less than what the bond could be offering me, based on the type of house that I want to live in. So that way in is something that I thought of to say, okay.
Hey,
so
Palama exams. Let's close it. So we are financial advice. So we are more.
Yeah.
There's
But thank
more.
you guys.
There's
thank
more,
you guys. Awesome.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the next topic now. So we'll start with the next topic.
What's your name? Green!